So sometimes when we sit down with the client, initially we have a strategic conversation, be it investor or owner-occupier, and we talk to their brief, the nuances of that brief, what their non-negotiables are, what their nice-to-haves would be, and then potentially things they'd compromise on as well. Sometimes we find scenarios where we start looking for them and we start the process only to find that the brief does change, and that can sometimes come about when we've looked through a few houses and they start to realise that, well, hey, for the budget that we put forward, we're not quite getting what we want. And this sometimes comes back to potentially buyers having a little bit more in the budget than what they've disclosed to their buyers agent. We talk to colleagues all the time that sometimes talk to this very problem, which is buyers should always come to a professional like us, a buyer's agent, and give us their full budget. That might be the difference between us finding the home that they want versus a home that they sort of compromise on. So sometimes we've seen that happen with clients where they haven't disclosed the full budget, only to go back to the drawing board and go, right, we've actually got another 50 we can get from mum and dad, or we've actually got another 50 in shares that we can sell off. So there are sometimes those scenarios that where we have clients whose brief changes based on sort of functionality. Location's a big one, especially for investors. Sometimes we find that they shift around a little bit, which is why we always have 3 locations, both for owner-op and investors, that we earmark, so that if we don't get number 1, which is the preferred, we look at number 2, and then in a scenario where we need to, we can also look at the third option in terms of location, postcode, and we're looking to purchase. So it sometimes is about going with the flow, but really important in that strategic meeting we have that we define their expectations. Ideally, we're not in a scenario where a brief changes, but it does happen. It's just human nature.